hello, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Let's play chess. I wanted to mention, I sometimes play chess without streaming my games. Um, Now I'm streaming, but I just finished a few games. These three here, two losses and then a win, and I don't stream all my games. So if you do find yourself interested in searching some of the games that aren't broadcast online, or maybe games that I don't review but were online, whatever it was, it's totally open and free to check out my profile on chess.com, where I am also More Gravity. MoreGravity. I'm More Gravity. So I won a game at the 3 minutes per side. Let's wander over here to 5 minutes per side and just play some good chess. Okay. I got to remember today I am to play 1c4 at some point. That was one of the ideas that I blessed myself. One of the ideas I had is to play into the English quite directly. Saturday. If he offers a rematch, I'll accept. Otherwise, I'm gonna review this game. Um, and maybe a quick review on the other win today. So I'm going to consider that my opponent doesn't want a rematch, or is at least not offering a rematch. So that's fine. But we'll just also review the game with the computer's input. And earlier today, I scored this win in the 3 minutes per side per game. And we'll take a look at these two draws as well. The first draw I recall, I think I pretty much had a one game, but my opponent was wise to seek a hideaway square, and I tried to, just moving one of the queens the queen I had just promoted, the other one's going to be promoted, but stalemated. Oh, I felt really bummed about that. About a third to a half of that feeling of bummed was returned in the next game where, I had some up parts. My opponent, he from the picture, he had some up parts, and in the end, we repeated the position where I was ahead in material, but he was definitely pressing in terms of attacking chances. So that's fine. I took that. That draw's fine for me. It's a dynamic draw, and the first one was just a silly draw. The type that, fortunately, I know I would not commit a draw like that in tournament slow play. In game in 5 minutes per side, sometimes we overlook things. I think you can see the graphic here shows that with white to move, there's no legal move. So my opponent sought out, what's that, the H5 square to get in front of his pawn, and then this stalemate evidenced itself. I would not fall for that in tournament play and without time pressure like that. So, good enough. This is the most recent game. This game was my win at 5 minutes per side per game. This was the 3 minutes per side per game. Yeah, this game, I'm not going to say too much about it. A lot of just standard developing. Interesting with the pawn on the G7 square, and I think rather early. Let's see, white plays G7, F takes G7 on move 8. So this pawn is threatening promotion as early as move 9. And then I used the bishop as a tall pawn pin. It's one of the pins that if you're gonna pin a piece, this is one of the ways to do it. It doesn't always mean it's good, but it usually means it's better than, it would have been better. That's better than throwing the queen in front for some crazy reason. Okay. Right. Yeah. So the game stayed level for quite a while. In fact, I liked the tension my opponent and I built up in this game. All the way here, there's no break, as they say, until rook takes G7 on move 15. 15 moves in. That's when black got its first indication of a positional or material lead. And then some not all that accurate moves to follow. And then sometimes it's just you stay on because there is a mate threat on the board, and even though rook to d5 is not a good, it's not even a good move. It's a bad move. But you stay, if rather than resigning, there are ways to mess up the response to rook d5, and these things happen to good chess players. So my opponent has nothing to hang his, her, or they head about this. With knight takes d5, though, this move in particular, go ahead and hang your head about that because this was a horrible move. And the rest of the game, I thought my opponent played well, but knight takes d5 is met with queen takes g2 checkmate immediately thereafter. So you can't consider that anything but just a total blunder. All right, it was a fun game, interesting game. This game we're going to go over in detail. This is the game I just finished most recently, and then some of the draws here against this player. Look, we had this late breaking game, and maybe you consider this as an early break that recovered, but my opponent and I played all the way to just about move 27 in a close contest. and black was eventually able to establish a large uh, lead in number of pawns and also an opposite square tactic against same square color bishops, promoting. And then this stuff should have been, easy peasy, no problem. But like I said, my opponent found a tricky way to go for a stalemate, and so the game was a draw. Bummer. I'm actually gonna replay this game. You see me here miss a mate and two. I'm gonna replay this game to call out some of these one miss, two miss, three miss, four miss, and I'm sure that the result will show. I'm gonna replay this game against computer on maximum. The result will show a very accurate game was played. A very accurate game was at least possible. So we're looking how to mate in two here. I think I see a mate in three. Mate in two for black. Alright, let's guess. Let's do. Aha. Okay, does that make it mate in? Wait, doesn't make it mate in one. So once in a while, there are incongruencies with even super strong chess engines. Here we see this indicated as a mate in two, and I'm just frankly saying that it's not. This is not a mate in two. We can play g5 and flatten out white's escape options down board. And I think I'd follow that up with g4 and continue to flatten white's options. And now the bishop is after my queen. It's a horizon move, or a stalling move, some call it. So queen takes c4 is best. And I think we dust up on queen takes d5 check. And pawn takes h3 when white tries to burst towards the center. We limit his options. Its options, as it's a computer. We limit its options, and then soon enough the mate will be obvious. All right. Way to go, Jord. Great game preserved, great game saved. I'll add it to the collections too, so we got a triple out of that. What do they call that? Trifecta. People who boat. People who bet or vote was where I was going with that. It came out as boat. People who bet on horses aim to win a trifecta. Helps them with a large payout against a relatively small bet. This game looks. What did we do here? This is just a nutty game. I jump out to this lead, sort of in the middle game here, and here white looks like he's winning by a lot on the progress bar, and only 3 points of material in advantage on the board. So the game's alive. And we'll listen to some old two short tracks. This is that draw that was repeated. Looks like white has the board win here, you know. But I was really glad with the draw having 4 seconds, 3.5 seconds on my clock. So I'll take the draw there. I did have this. There is a board win here for white. I would play maybe some anti-knight move like king to b2, king to b1, or king to c1. And then on the next move, if it's possible, I might try to initiate a series of checks against black's king. This was the game we played out all the way to checkmate. Yeah. And it was a reasonably accurate game. I think this is I think the screen shows this game. I'm not all that certain. I'm not all that. This was all right. So we're gonna play out More Gravity versus Generoeth, chess player from Peru. All right, so I had the white pieces, and we get off to this opening. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's a Scotch. And just both sides playing strong moves. And d6 occurs, and I decide here, because this is gonna crush this position really. Knight takes c6. The correct recapture. Bishop takes c5. The correct recapture. Queen takes d8. The correct recapture on d8. And black is just horribly situated with these disgusting tripled pawns. This is it, folks. You wouldn't resign this position, but this is something to avoid. This is a very bad no-no. I decided bishop c4 both made a tangible threat against f7, developed a piece, and so I thought that was also good to stop the lead of these 3 pawns. Not like, oh, that's the other side of having triple pawns. No. Triple pawns are horrible. They're not mobile. Them being stacked in a column like that is at almost no benefit. But if we trap the c5 pawn on c5, even if it's for a few moves, then the c5 pawn becomes a stationary target. We can't quite access it with the rook because of the other pawn, but you just block the c5 pawn. The main thing, honest and truly, this is almost like secondary, pretty much. The main thing white's aiming for here with bishop c4 is just a real clear threat and to play on. Knight f6 is one of the obvious great moves, best moves in the position. Pawn f3 is a little bit timid, but also solid. I'm still banking on these triple pawns being 1, 2, 3 points of material in More Gravity's coffers. So I can afford to play good and solid rather than aggressive and risky. Bishop e6 is not the move I would think here. This is, you want to get the bishop out in part of the game, and e6 is a lot better than other squares along the h3 to c8 diagonal. But have we? I mean, Bishop b7 isn't so great either, and not is bishop a6 at the present moment. But just to place your bishop on e6 for this swap of material that creates another pawn island. One, two, three, four. Get your woman on the floor. Gotta get up to get down. Gotta get up to get down. 4 pawn islands, and one of them is a tripled set. So that's black needs to work against that. My recommendation, instead of bishop e6 here, with black to move, play pawn to a5. It's on a dark square, so my bishop can't harass it. And then, it's not a fun trudge back into the dynamics of the game, but after pawn to a5, black can play safely bishop to a6. Then with the trade on a6, the rook is protecting a6, and the rook ends up on a6 here. Then maybe some pressure along the b file, where I have a loose b2 pawn that, on the other hand, can be repaired right away. So I would have liked to see, this is, I think, all told, this stuff is not good. This is not good, but pawn to a5 prepares bishop a6. Then you gotta go through takes a6. Then you gotta go through takes a6. Then it's my turn. And it's not the fun thing to do, but it's the better way of playing chess here. Pawn to a5, no doubt here, folks. See how... So I trade bishops. And now, like I said, there's just too many pawn islands. And I'm going to develop pieces and attack some of these pawn islands. I don't know if it doesn't get to that point. Black's position Black's position is both a little bit weak and incredibly awkward. And then you add these triple pawns, and then it's incredibly weak and quite awkward. So the move rook to d6 overlooks pawn to e5. Trading rooks on d1 doesn't help because e takes f6, check. E takes f6 comes with check, winning the tempo of initiative that white needs to then recapture the rook after that. And we got tripled pawns, we got 4 pawn islands. Black has tripled pawns, 4 pawn islands, and white has an extra piece. So my opponent resigned, and that was it was good, a respectful point in time to resign. So I very much appreciated this game, and I liked winning, and I liked that both my opponent and I played very well. Okay. I just uncover the move categorization. So that's it for this session today, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Have a great night.